right, welcome back to the program. As you can see there, I'm having two gentlemen today join me. One is at the table here with me. The other, Tope Fasua, the Chief Executive Officer at Global Analytics, is over there in Accra. Tope, good to see you. And Prof is with me here. Prof Uche Uwaleke, the first professor of capital markets. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a very wonderful feat.
Thank you,
Welcome,
Nancy.
welcome, Prof.
Thank you, Nancy.
All right, I think I will start with Tope over there in Accra. Hello, Tope, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I hope I'm clear too.
Yes, you're very clear. Tope, let me get your diagnostics of the insecurity situation in Nigeria, perhaps from an economic lens. I started this conversation yesterday, not particularly that of insecurity, but the state of the Nigerian economy and perhaps, you know, the different dimensions of it and the impact. Can I get a diagnostics from you, from an economic lens, of how you think that insecurity is impacting our economy?
Okay, I think my own perspective is that, which is something I wrote about recently, that Nigeria's security situation is the worst in the world. We like to hide under numbers and statistics to perpetuate what is wrong and what is bad. We say we are third worst according to some metrics that places Afghanistan and Iraq at number 1 and 2, and then Nigeria comes in number 3. But last time I checked Iraq, I checked what was going on there. It seemed pretty much very peaceful. Apart from the war that was waged on Iraq by the United States and a couple of their allies, not a lot has happened in Iraq of recent. You know, things seem to be good. And then Afghanistan, the only upheaval we had was when the United States started to pull out fully. Then there was a bit of upheaval. But if you look at Nigeria, you see that every state has a problem. It seems like all our criminals have migrated into kidnapping, and so people get stolen every day for big money because they realize that's where the big money is. This morning, we heard of a certain assistant vice marshal being kidnapped somewhere in Lagos, and that's bad enough. We're hearing kidnapping in the northwest. We hear about banditry. Even in the Gulf of Guinea, where the Niger Delta, there's a bit of piracy going on there. You know, people hijacking vessels and so on. So we need to first of all come to terms with the fact that we have the worst situation in the world. When we look at it that way, then perhaps we find solution. Because again, what this means is that every aspect of the economy has been hobbled all over the nation. Nowhere is spared. No state is spared. No community is spared. That our people could have done business better than they're doing it now. When I went to East Africa sometime in 2012, 2013, 14, what I realized was between Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, these guys were trying to operate 24 hours economy. We seem to have actually traumatized ourselves so much here that we don't even know what to aspire to anymore. No part of Nigeria is aspiring to have a 24 hours economy. By 6 o'clock, everybody has closed. All shops are closed. People are locking up to go and find a way somewhere to sleep, apart from people who go out drinking beer and all of that. That is not how to run an economy. That is not the kind of economy we should be running in this country. And so until you know that security is the first duty of government. When you go back to Thomas Hobbes and what he said about the contract, social contract, that human beings decided to come together and live in cities and so on because they surrendered their right to self-protection to the state. Now, having surrendered that right of self-protection, the state called Nigeria seems not to be protecting any of its people, and anything can happen to anybody at any point in time. Therefore, you can't even begin to talk about the economy and business growing. So people are just barely doing the minimum. Of course, perhaps if this wasn't there, perhaps you can begin to imagine the kind of growth rate that Nigeria could be running. Okay. By all means, perhaps that double-digit growth rates I've always spoken about is achievable, and I believe it is, but it will not be achieved except you can tidy up the security situation. And I believe that it is solvable, okay?
Okay,
what you're seeing is a
come
result
to that.
of several...
Yes, Mr. Fasua, we'll come to the
Prices.
solutions. Yeah,
Even the
we
boys in
will
the
come
rank
to the
and file have
solutions in a
decided.
bit. We'll come to the solutions in a bit. Let me take let me take Prof's perspective here. You've heard him say, you know, his views. I also wonder why we don't run a 24 hours economy. You know, I've traveled a few times. There was a time I traveled and I was supposed to come. I was supposed to be at the airport like around 5 a.m. or so back to Nigeria. You know, I went like shopping for a few things. I went for work, but I was like, okay, I needed to get some things. So by the time I got back to my hotel room, I found out that the box, I needed to get a new box. You know, I went out around 1 a.m. And just, yes, close. And I got a box. And I came back to my hotel room. And even at that was like 2012. You know, I was like, we can't have this in Nigeria. And then the security situation was not even
as bad as it is.
Yes, as bad as it is. So Tope has raised very salient points.
Yes.
But will people not, people will want to open perhaps at 12 a.m.
Yes.
But the security situation also. So from your own lenses to speak to me about that, and what economic parameters is this insecurity mostly affecting?
And say, if you look at all our indicators today, the macro indicators, whether you are talking about inflation, whether you are talking about unemployment rate, whether you are talking about poverty rate, whether you are talking about the GDP growth rate, okay, you will realize that insecurity is at the root of the, if you like, the grim picture, you know, that we have. Take inflation, for example. Why is it that we are having over 20%, you know, food inflation rate in this country? It's partly due to insecurity. If you also look at the issue of debt, why is it that this country is spending as much as 97%, over 90% of our revenue servicing debt? You can also tie it to insecurity. And remember that recently, the president sent a bill to a supplementary appropriation bill to the National Assembly, close to 1 trillion naira. And out of that sum, the bulk of it, okay, about 700 or 800 million or billion naira, you know, was meant for, you know, security. So we are spending so much on security, and that is tending to crowd out the money we could have used for some other things. So the opportunity cost is huge. That's why I said it's affecting even the rate of economic growth. It's affecting the fact that, you know, we're also borrowing so much. Recently, we went to the international capital market to issue Euro bonds.
And we're going again.
We did that. Yes, we got 4 billion, okay, 1.5 for 7 years, another 2 billion for 12 years. We had another 1.5 for 30 years. Now, if you look at the price of the Euro bonds that we did, compare that to other securities out there, you know, sovereign bonds, you will realize that we actually, you know, sold them at a very low price, you know, given their yields. The yield for the 7-year bond was about 6.1%. For the 12-year bond, you know, 7.3. For the 8-year bond, you know, 8.2 or thereabout. Okay, why was the price low? Or put in another way, why was the yield very high? Okay, it was very high partly because of the insecurity we have in this country. Investors are also looking at your security situation before they can invest. So if an investor is thinking of investing either in the sovereign bond of Nigeria or sovereign bond of Ghana, for example, that investor will want to say, because you have insecurity in your country, Nigeria, except you offer me the bond at a very low price, I'm not going to buy. So when you hear that the bond was oversubscribed, it's also because of the terms that were very favorable to investors. And they needed to be favorable because of the insecurity we have in the country. You can see how insecurity is affecting even the cost of borrowing. Okay, because the high yield means it's expensive for us to, you know, going forward, even to service.
And that will affect our naira.
Yes, that will affect. So even the exchange rate issue the foreign reserves, thank God, we are noticing some accretion in foreign reserves now, and that's partly because of the fact that oil price is, going up. Output is also improving. But in terms of even remittances, in terms of foreign investments, insecurity is also a factor. Look at the capital importation reports we have for, the second quarter of 2021. Only $800 million, came in by way of foreign investments, into this country. Compare us with peer countries, compare with South Africa, okay, or even India, okay. These countries are becoming destinations of foreign investments, because they are relatively safer. So when you talk about insecurity, it is really a major problem, we're facing in this country. And as I said, it's an ill wind, it's affecting so many things, in this country, and it is slowing down, development. I was in Las Vegas, shortly before the
Lockdown.
Yes, before the lockdown, before the COVID crisis. And in the hotel room, I went for a conference. In the hotel room where we were, Marriott, the hotel lobby, I met somebody who said, he is from, Las Vegas, the state of Nevada. And I told him I'm a Nigerian. And he said, yes, that he visits Africa. And I said, which countries in Africa have you visited? He mentioned Tanzania, he mentioned South Africa. I said, what about Nigeria? He said he hasn't been to Nigeria, and he doesn't intend to go to Nigeria. And I said, why? And he said he was afraid to be kidnapped. Yes.
And he hasn't even been here before.
Yes,
but it's because of what he's hearing.
Yes, because of what he's hearing.
And reading, perhaps.
Exactly, what is reading. And some of these advisories that some of these, and when they issue them, you see, these people tend to think that yes, we have insecurity in the country, yes, but they tend to think that nothing is happening here, that insecurity is, is in every corner of the country, in every street, so they tend to to blow it out of proportion. Again, I also recall when I went to Italy, in Rome, it was a World Accountants Conference in 2014. Okay, the delegation from Nigeria was over 1,000 that came. And do you know what they were saying? They were saying they were surprised that that number could come from Nigeria. Okay, because of what they have heard about Nigeria, the insecurity, about Nigeria. So I also think while the government is doing something about the state of insecurity in the country, it's also important that our embassies out there, okay, also help to, put across some favorable news about Nigeria. Okay. Yes.
Nigerian embassies in countries.
Yes, Nigerian embassies there. Yes, exactly. They also have a major role to play.
Okay, let's bring in Tope. Prof came in with such an interesting angle, and perhaps a personal angle. I guess that most of us even have personal stories, but when you go abroad, you tend to hear even more bad news about Nigeria, than good news. I won't say that when I go abroad, when people know that I'm a Nigerian, they first ask, okay, 419 there, and insecurity. The few times I get good stuff is, there was a day I was so proud. I came out of the hotel room, I was at the lobby, and I was listening to African Queen by Tubaba, by some white people there, and they were so happy. I said, I had to okay, where are you from? I'm in Nigeria, so things like that happen. But where am I going to really is that, how can this problem of insecurity be solved? Because I've done shows on this and the impact, and I must tell you that trillions of naira have been spent, at least in the last few years, not just about this administration. Since Jonathan, during the Yaradua days, we did not see as much spending now. Yeah. During the Yaradua days, they were spending, but it moved higher during Jonathan, but now it's skyrocketed. So what would you say about that, the economic cost of insecurity, and perhaps some of the other economic parameters, if you have more to speak about, because Prof did mention earlier. And what can it also do to the Naira? What can it do to the Naira? And let me say this story as I wind up. Let me say this story as I wind up. I told my guest yesterday, Professor Kenife, last week or so, there's a lady that I follow, and she's doing sales here in Abuja. She's doing sales, and during sales, a lot of people will want to buy and all that. But the sales she's doing, she said in her post that you should come to her shop with $10. That all her sales will be Yeah, anything you want to pick, but just bring $10 and not in naira. And people were asking her, where do we get $10? She said, go to zone 4, that naira, change it to the equivalent of $10. And I had to like message her. I said, do you know what you're doing is illegal?
Yes.
Well, she said, if she goes back to the market, not with dollars, that the stuff must have increased. So please add that to, to what you're going to respond to.
Well, there's so much to respond to. Thank you. What you've just said about the lady now is a very dangerous development, but if we're not careful, that's where things are heading. We hope that Okada riders will not start to demand dollars from us as well, except we move fast. In my writings, I've also noted what the central bank should do immediately. They need to act, beyond maybe countering and being reactive to what people say, is that there are spaces for action to be taken. For example, we need to hear more pronouncements from central bank in terms of allowing some more transactions to be eligible. I mean, the Accra now, I was coming to Accra, I needed PTA. They said they are not selling for people in West African coast. I wonder, how convertible the naira is in this coast. Why would you push people to the black market? So the central bank should stop pushing people to the black market. They have to expand. If you say that I'm coming here into Accra, for example, and yet I can buy some Ghana cedis in the banks in Nigeria, you may even say, okay, fine. If you're going to Europe, we'll give you $4,000. But we are going to this kind of West Africa, maybe we give you $3,000, equivalent in the currency of the country you're going to, so that people, of course, you know that even if you can't come here and you now begin to change back to dollar, you are going to lose money. So it's not worth it. You have to disincentivize people from playing all those games that we've been playing. But you can see that from what you said, security adds to it. Security adds to the value of the naira. If we were a more secure country, that means that we'll be more productive in good things. That means that all of this money that has been spent on buying Tucano, which we paid almost $500 million for several years back, some of them have started coming in. What that means is that, even in the global community, we're being expected to fight the Boko Haram war long term. Some of them are making plans for us to continue fighting this Boko Haram 20 years from now. It is our destiny. So, we have to be the ones to redefine that destiny to say, listen, we want to grow positively. We're not going to be sitting there fighting Boko Haram war or whatever kind of war, banditry war, kidnapping war. Look, forget what we hear in the media and all of that, or when our white friends come here, especially from the Western world, where they come to Nigeria and they try to help you paper over it. They say, okay, well, you guys are doing well. You are better than Afghanistan and Iraq and all of that. Let us look, what they say across the kitchen tables is different. Like the image, put yourself in the shoes of someone in the West. I heard Professor Uwaleke was talking about people coming to Africa for tourism. Nobody comes to Nigeria. We get almost zero in terms of tourism in this country on a yearly basis, almost zero. So what they're saying in their kitchen table around the kitchen is different from what they put in the newspaper. The view of Nigeria is as bad as can be. Not only do we have security problems, we are also not trusted. Look, Nancy, you talked about people coming to you abroad. You're a woman. And for a woman, they trust our women a lot more than they trust our men.
Yeah.
And when we are viewed, first of all, as criminals. And therefore, that's why I say, okay, look at the way I'm dressed in a foreign country. They will give me a bit of respect. A lot of us go, you're wearing your very dreadlock in a scary way. All your body is tattooed and all of that. They will be afraid of you. And so we are combining all of this internal security issue with a bad image problem, with a criminal image problem, with all of our boys being seen abroad. It's as bad as it can get. Look, we need to rescue this country immediately. I came into Ghana here now. The way the Ghana airport was organized is as if you are going into Dubai airport. Everybody gets COVID tested in Ghana. In the airport, before you leave, you get your result 30 minutes on. And they're making bricks business from that. Why? I ask myself, why can Nigeria not be organized? And I realize that it is deliberate. I don't know where it's coming from, but the people who lead Nigeria do not want Nigeria to make progress. They've never wanted Nigeria to make progress. And that's where we are. So everything ties up. When you have such a country, you remember what Joseph Stalin said, which was echoed by Margaret Thatcher. He said, to destroy a country, the first thing you do is to debauch its currency. And so Nigeria is a destroyed country. Whether it will rise from its ashes is a different ballgame. Okay, but the currency is also being debauched as we speak, and everybody is contributing to it. The lady you mentioned is doing her own bit. She's thinking about herself and all of that. Fine. You cannot expect her to be more patriotic than the people running government, all the governors, all the ministers, all the members of our National Assembly and all of that. That they spend dollars, even in the presidential circle, even the vice president and the vice, they spend dollars. That means they have actually shown a vote of no confidence towards the Naira already. Why would you expect a common man on the street to do any better? So except the people don't want to be deceived into doing the wrong thing. So all of these things actually come together. And look, I don't know who's going to rescue that country. Our country is bad enough, as bad as it can be. Seriously, everybody needs to sit up.
Let's talk about solutions now, because that was also part of what I asked my guest yesterday.
Yeah, solutions. I've given you some of the.
Yes,
okay.
I know you've been inferring some of those solutions, but where I'm actually going to is also what I asked my guest yesterday in terms of, are you seeing the urgency of bringing out solutions? We do know our problems, as it were, but are you seeing the urgency coming, especially from authorities that are leading us? I did mention yesterday that perhaps...
No, we're not seeing the urgency.
Okay.
We're not seeing the urgency. It's part of what I'm saying.
Okay,
we've allowed things to go for too long. We're not seeing that urgency. I mean, as a private citizen, I'm pushing out solutions from the economic angle, from how to save the Naira. Are we seeing corresponding kind of actions and statements from government? No, everybody is basically doing the thing that they've been doing. Even the Bible says that we should not continue in sin and expect the grace to abound. We are still continuing in every nonsense that we've been doing. All right, so we're not seeing, we need out of the box solution. Yeah. All we're getting is this. Look, what has been done to solve the security problem? It took so long for the president to change the service chiefs, but even at that, people, an AVM, their friend has been kidnapped today. And that's just one. People get kidnapped in droves. Look, I researched kidnapping, mass kidnapping. I realized Nigeria is the only place where you can take 100 people. It's never been done. Go on the internet. Nowhere in the world has 100 people been kidnapped.
At once.
Children at once. Yeah, Nigeria, you kidnap 300 people. Yeah. It's all business. They are doing business with this thing and making money with this thing. Accuse them. It is true. And that's what they're doing.
Okay.
And look, we need a different ballgame. We need a different thinking. And of course, if the present government is not going to be able to do that, perhaps we'll wait for the next government to come. But whoever is going to come the next must be ready to do things totally different from it. Look, there's no reason for the people of this country to suffer. Where we have pushed ourselves to now, we are getting to that implosion level where every angle you look, every sector you look is looking like disaster is coming, disaster is coming. There's money to be made in Nigeria. Nigeria is a great country, it's a good country. There's absolutely nothing wrong with
Mr. Fasua, if you can hear me, let me bring in Prof here. You've heard, Tope is like he's frustrated, you know.
It's understandable.
You know,
yes.
You know, my guest told me on the show, one of my guests told me on the show yesterday that, Nancy, please just relax and don't carry the stress of the country on your face, that it's a showing, just rest. That was what one of my guests told me yesterday. So I can see almost the same frustration on Mr. Fasua, but just quickly respond if you have some other solutions.
Yes, I think we should also begin to you know, show examples. By that I mean, you know, it's been said, you often hear that, you know, what is happening, you know, there are people behind it and these people are not faceless. You often hear that even the sponsors are known, for example. And then when you say, why don't you name them so that we can shame them? You know, the reaction is, no, for security reasons, we won't name them. Okay, but if it is possible to identify, you know, these people that are sponsoring this banditry, you know, kidnapping and so on, and you know, bring them to book. Okay, I'm sure the you know, people will begin to see some level of seriousness in this fight against banditry. The northern governors met recently, and it was also top on the, you know, on the agenda. So there is every reason for you know, these people to come together and you know, seriously address the issue of banditry. And as I said, it can even start by identifying, you know, those behind it and then dealing with them. I'm sure when that is done, it will send a very you know, good signal out there that, you know, this government, you know, now means you know, means business. Now, Talking about the effects, you look at states like Zamfara. You look at, if you come to the northeast, Borno, Yobe, even Adamawa, and so on. And you realize that the level of poverty in those areas, has gone up. And you find a lot of businesses moving away from those areas. I have colleagues in some universities in the northeast, that have left, that area. You can imagine what will happen to the education GDP,
sectors
for example,
which it will affect.
yes, in that area. Okay, you have core members, for example, okay, who dread going to serve in those areas. So these are some of the issues associated with insecurity. As also have been rightly mentioned, is also affecting our if you like, inflows of dollars. The bulk of what we get by way of forex, still comes from crude oil, and we want to change the narrative by, seeing how we can also increase the one that comes from, foreign investment, or even see how we can change the narrative by way of incentivizing more, diaspora remittances, which of course go through, some other sources. So that is not happening because of insecurity. But I also want to say here that now that the reserves have started growing, now that we have sufficient reserves, if you like, to finance more than 7 months of merchandise imports, okay, and with prospects that the reserves we have today, which is about $36 billion. If you check, I checked as of yesterday, movement in reserves, $36 billion gross. Okay. Now, with the prospects that this is likely to hit $40 billion by the end of the year, okay, we should see that rubbing off positively on the forex, forex market. So I want to advise the central bank to, intervene more, make it available. Of course, the central bank governor has assured that whoever, is demanding it legitimately, will get it, as long as such person goes through the legitimate channels, goes through the bank. So that should be the spirit to make it available now. Now we're expecting, we've gotten $4 billion in Euro bonds. That's also going to touch boost our reserves. We're also getting 3.35 billion
from SDR,
from SDR, of course,
IMF,
special drawing rights, which of course is something we can draw at any time. So I think the situation is not as in terms of forex management. It eases forex management for the central bank, which is why I think that what is happening now in the parallel market is only temporary. I've always argued that given the outlook for inflows, okay, the depreciation we are getting now in the parallel market will, may not continue. Okay, I see a situation in which at the parallel market the rates will, will come down, okay, as the central bank makes this money available, in the official window. What has happened, in my view, has been a reaction, to the stoppage of sale of forex to BDCs, okay, which dried up, supply of forex in the parallel market. Okay, so that's what practically happened, and I think that as long as the central bank continues to make the dollars available, sufficient, quantity at the official window, I think even the parallel market rate, will go down. We saw that in 2016. In 2016,
should there even be a parallel market rate in the first place? But that's a discussion for another.
No, a parallel market, the black market rate is something you find worldwide. A black market economy is something you can't. It's just that officially we don't recognize it. And I agree with the central bank governor when he says that he doesn't recognize the black market rate. Officially, should be the position of government. Okay, but in reality, that is what exists anywhere. Why do we have black market? There are people that won't want to go to the bank and queue or go to the bank and fill form. Okay, they want to.
Yes, I get that part.
Yeah. So the premium for
not
going there is what the black market, but it shouldn't be very high.
The gap shouldn't
exactly.
be so much. Okay, I think we've come to the end of the discussion, but I don't know if we can, for Prof and Tope, if I can get your last words in less than 1 minute. Tope, so in 20 seconds, because we have to go now, in 20 seconds, what's your closing remark?
Well, I think all has been said and needs to be said. I think that people should remain hopeful. Perhaps something will give, but a lot of things seem to be converging, like for a perfect storm in our country, or perhaps we've been in this storm for a while now.
Okay.
But I believe that absolutely nothing is wrong with that country, but the actions of the people.
Okay.
And it's our attitude, and all of us are contributing to this. However, the leaders are contributing more. However, of course, the leaders of today were followers of yesterday. So perhaps the younger ones should try and have a good attitude that if they get there too, they should get ready to do the right thing.
Okay.
That
My
country
question.
must be
Yeah.
safe,
Yeah.
whether in terms of
Okay.
insecurity
Thank
or the
you,
value of the
Tope.
naira or the economy.
Let's get Prof.
Yes, we have spent so much on insecurity in this country. If you compare that with the money we have spent on, developmental projects, that pales into the money spent on development project pales into insignificance when you compare that with what we have spent on insecurity. I think it is time for the government to get an audit, maybe engage a private audit firm to audit the spending on security. We need to do a proper audit, to be sure that what we are spending, is commensurate with even the results we are getting. Yes.
Thank you very much, Prof. And thank you, Tope. Are you still there? Can I see Tope, please? Tope, and you were saying there's nothing wrong with that country. When did you just leave? You are still a Nigerian. You are just in Accra. I are saying there's nothing wrong with that country.
I'm not in the country right now, so that country,
it's still your country anyway. All right, thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today. Thank you very much, Prof. Professor Uche Uwaleke was a former Commissioner of Finance in Imo State and the first professor of capital markets. So I should come to you for,
Insecurity is also affecting the capital market.
Yes, it is.
Affecting the stock market.
Yes, it is. It is. It's affecting everything.
Everything, yes.
All right, and Tope Fasua is the Chief Executive Officer at Global Analytics. We've been talking about the insecurity impact on the economy. Thank you all for joining us. Just like I said earlier, you can join us for our Independence Day program, as well as send your questions concerning e-Naira. Send it to us via phone, via text message, and WhatsApp. I'll see you all again. I am Nancy Najibi, the best you can be, and be the change you want to see by now.